Okay, welcome everybody, and welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition show here this Thursday. And welcome everybody. And as you can see, it's host day. We have a few of those lately, but no, we have a lot to say too. So hopefully, what we have to say, and of course, and the Colonel will give his disclosure because it's. Go ahead, Colonel. Do your thing.
Yes, the views stated on this program are the host and nobody else, no third party, anything else. So we want to stay out of Facebook jail or anything out there we want to, if you feel uncomfortable, nobody else, just turn off the thing and go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's our opinions, and if you agree or disagree,
Yep.
We're on Facebook Live. You can always put your
Hit the
comments.
chat button and give us a call.
Give us a call. I mean, well, yeah, put your comments in the chat, and we'll try
and we will address it.
Especially if you disagree. We're looking for those as well. But we want to come on and talk a little bit. We just had the primary election on Tuesday, and we want to talk about that a little bit. And traditionally primaries don't bring out big numbers, but as important as this primary was, I think Colonel crunched the numbers a little ahead of time. It was a total of between two cities, a total of about 17,000 people came out.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Between two cities. Now that would have been awful just for Portsmouth. Now, if you take, some of the communities that were taken out of the district in Portsmouth, that wasn't a lot, but we still had probably close to 60,000 people registered voters. And then you add what Chesapeake brought to the district, even though it didn't bring the whole Chesapeake. And this makes it even more dismal, as far as the numbers. And the Colonel came up with based it on 60,000 registered voters, it's like 8% of the people voted in this primary. And hopefully more people will vote, but we haven't been showing up in the November elections as well in big numbers. We've been showing up, but as critical this was, it's kind of disappointing. Of course, we here are glad of who won. There was no question who we were supporting, and we tried to be fair in our reporting of that race, but we did let you know who we favored, and that was our choice there. But anyway, we're glad she won, but it would have been nice to see more people. It's always good to see how many people are interested in one thing and how many people support you. It's good to win. I guess you can jump around if you're the victor. But if I was running and I looked at those numbers, I said, I'm glad I won, but 9,000 people came out to vote.
And and James, and the thing,
8,000 for him, and I could have lost. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that, and plus, everybody's saying, well, my vote don't count. I don't need to vote. My vote don't count. This election came down to less than 100 votes.
Mhm.
Less than 100 votes. And that's sad. Sad for a primary, And I don't know. Go ahead, James.
Especially the way the election went, especially near the end, the way the negativity and some of the untruths that were put out there in election land to voters that were totally untrue, and a lot of time had to be spent debunking that. Rather than talking about policy and what can we do, and who would be the best candidate or have the most strength and everything. A lot of that got out there, but what raises eyebrows most is the negative stuff.
The negative stuff.
What people pay attention to. And
exactly.
Because a lot of I'm not going to say positive, a lot of the information, the true information was out there in the beginning about the candidates. And then I guess all of a sudden, we kind of figured that all of a sudden it turned, by one candidate, and then a lot of the energy was spent on that.
And plus, James, you have to look at too the fact that when the opposite party want to get rid of someone, then their people come out and work in droves. As I was watching some of the people were working the polls, you had a lot of Republicans working the poll for Lionel. So you know what the mission was? The mission was to get rid of Louise, because Louise has been that stopgap where Youngkins cannot get his program through. And so they had their people out there working on his behalf. And we got to be careful how we let people use us. You know, we got to be careful how we let people come in and use us in order to satisfy their goals, as opposed to looking at what's best for the entire community, what's best for this Hampton Roads area. We have not had a person to hold the leadership that Louise will have since, I think it was Tom Moss, if I'm not mistaken. And I know that was back in the 80s. And once after Louise, it's going to be a long time before we have someone in the Hampton Roads area who will be eligible to hold those key committees that she will have. So it looks like people will look at what can be brought back to the city. Northern Virginia has had it forever. That's why Northern Virginia is booming. That's why Northern Virginia gets whatever it wants, because they had the key players holding appropriations and finance and all those major committees. So it's a shame that people, for selfish reasons, people were willing to give up that.
And Colonel, before you go, you know, Leah, you made a good point about the people, the Republicans working for a Democrat against, and anytime you got people that their sole purpose is to work against the opponent, how much faith do they have in you?
Exactly.
You know, you should be able to see that. Well, are y'all working for me or y'all working against her? And the thing was, they were working against her, not necessarily for him, because
and
they were working. Anybody working for you is going to tell what you're going to do, not their whole concentration will be on against the other person. So anybody that's been in politics that long should have been able to see that. But sometimes we are blind by money, we're blind by power or whatever. And you know, and then the people are secondary or third or fourth or fifth.
And the whole thing about it is you put the person in a position who you think you can beat in the general election, you know? So
those same people, if he had won, wouldn't have been
they would not be working for him. They'd be on the other side. They'd be working for the Republican candidate.
Indeed.
Well, it would have been a win for them anyway, because Spruill was going to flip to be a Republican anyway. So if you connect the dots, and the reason I say that is because, one, his largest fundraiser, when he collected almost $1 million, was sponsored by who? The Republican Party up there in Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia wanted to keep the power in Northern Virginia.
Because they say, well, he votes more times with the Republicans than he does with the Democrats. And he is the most likely person to switch parties. And from going Democrat to Republicans. And then you add that, and that's a dotted line, and now it's a solid line when you've never gotten an audience with the governor, and all of a sudden he calls you down there, and you run down there and have a photo op and look and supposedly talk about a restoration of rights for felons. And 2 weeks prior to that, a week to 2 weeks prior to that, they were getting on Youngkin for him basically putting a stop to that program. Not approving it, putting new changing the goalposts. And so none of that was going to happen. So, but you trot out the minstrel man to go in there and say, I'm going to help somebody to do it, to change Youngkin's mind, that I'm going to work bipartisanship with him, which you've never, in your whole history of being in office, never put a good bill on the floor and worked it through. So that dotted line goes to a solid line, and that's one reason he lost. Now, here's the other piece to that. I know we voted, we asked both of their candidates, and we're just talking about the 18th district now, to come on to our show several times. I know that they were voted to, asked to have debates several times out there in the civilian sector. You know who didn't show? Lionel. All of his commercials were negative commercials, except for the ones that he says, I approve, where he had his aunt or some relatives talk for him as a proxy. So he never talked more than 4 sentences. Oh, I'm Lionel Spruill and I approve this message. So 5 words. So that should tell you something. And I hate to question anybody's literacy, but their mastery of the English language, but I have to question it with him, on him. Is he ready?
Yeah.
But
Now, he did say that he has a hearing impairment, so that
but it
could,
doesn't help. It doesn't stop him from coming out. That's why they got hearing aids, and that's why you can still come out here and talk to your.
that's true.
constituents.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't buy that disability is going to stop you from seeing your constituents, which you've taken for granted. Now, as far as the constituents go, with only 8 to 9% of people voting, it is a shame. It is downright ridiculous that is the turnout that we have in the state, in the Commonwealth, especially in this area. If you have the same turnout, the Democrats are going to get wiped out
in November.
across the state.
In November. Couple of months away. Couple months away. And for all those 92% of people stayed home, you deserve, you hold your health, yourself in shame for not coming out to vote, because that's the only power you have, and you're giving it away. You want slavery to come back, and that's what Youngkin really wants to do. They want to pass bans on burned books. They want to take away your rights for abortions or women's health, and say if you have a ectopic pregnancy, if they put their bans in there, your mother, your wife, your sister, they're gonna die on the operating table because they're gonna put the things down that, like in Texas, that you got to get on a plane or have a plane flown in there, or go get in a car and get across the border where you can get some health care. It is scary where half of this country, women are slaves to what I call white men that have gotten them into slavery. The women are slaves there because they own the power. They own their bodies, telling them what they can do with their own bodies. Exactly. And it is a shame. And it's growing across this country. And it's going to be infectious into this state of Virginia, because Youngkin wants it to come here. Because he's a mini Donald Trump and he wants to run for president.
Yes.
That's his goal. His goal is to espouse all those things that Donald Trump espoused, but trying to be a kinder, gentler Donald, can't even say the man's name, kinder, gentler orange man, as opposed to the real orange man. But that's his goal. That's his goal.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you're sitting back and you sleeping, the Republican Party talking about being woke, it's time for you to wake up.
Yeah.
If you don't think voting is serious, it's time to wake up. When you look at what's happening across this country with these elected officials, if you don't get out here and make your voice heard, make your voice known, we are going to be in for some hard times here in Virginia.
Yes. And so on a national scene, we're waiting for this crazy Supreme Court strike down affirmative action. So all the money that we get for when we look at affirmative action, it's going to affect, the right always talks about affirmative action, how it helps people of color in different avenues to get ahead, or to equal, or put a thumb on the scale so people of color can get ahead. But when they strike that down, more white women will suffer than we will.
That's right.
because
White women have
you look at,
benefited from affirmative action.
yeah,
They
because
have
you look at
benefited
all
from
the government
affirmative action.
contracts that
As
they got
well
over
as
their shipyard,
minority
from
contracts.
cleaning
They benefited from that as well.
to running the cafeteria, whatever, all those contracts that are run by, well, not even run by being the head of a company, and they might not even own it, but they saying I'm the head of it, white women. So they got ahead of it because of affirmative action. They are going to be put back in the pot, and they are going to find out, yes, you cried all this stuff, and now the Republicans have thrown you in the pot with us, and now you suffer.
But Chapman, don't you think it's interesting how a lot of these things that they're doing, and they think they're doing it against people of color, but when you look back on it, poor whites are going to suffer just as much as people of color. Women are going to suffer just as much as people of color. If you just look at the proposals and their agenda, you can see it's going to hurt them as well. But for some reason, they have blinders on. They cannot see. They got veils over their eyes. They can't see what's taking place.
That is a true statement. But here's the other piece: is the majority of the Republican Party, I think it's up to 55 to 60%, are people with only a high school diploma.
Exactly, or less.
Or less.
Or less.
And they are uninformed, unread folks that don't care, and you can be easily fooled. And that's what's happening. And then they have the goal of they have the thing is saying, long as I'm better than that guy over there,
that's right,
that dark-skinned guy over there, I'm better. Everything's okay. When they only have a truck and a trailer park, and so they're happy. That is a goal that they have. So yeah, so that's my opinion.
Co-host, both of you are so true, and it's a talk show host that always says we all have a third eye and a third ear, but we don't always use it. We don't always use those to look at things that's happening around us and where it really is. And we start doing that. And for those who have that third eye and is closed, make sure you tune in to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, because you'll get our opinions. And think about it, most of the guests we have on here that might not be directly involved with political issues, but what they are involved with, and Colonel will let you know how it's connected somehow politically. So that's why you need to watch us, because we can talk about the politics on the surface, but it's a lot of people come up here that are involved with groups and behavioral health care and things like that are affected by who we vote for and who we put in office. So you have to have that third eye and that third ear to see through. And most people that have that and used it saw through this last primary election. And not enough people went out there and voted, in my opinion. It starts now as far as getting ready for the November election.
Yes.
Have that party, that celebration that they had the night of, and rest the day. But it starts now.
That's the kickoff for the general election.
Because so often we celebrate a victory and sleep for a while.
But you can't sleep because they've already started campaigning for November.
Yes.
They have already started campaigning for November.
And it's amazing how you talk to people, and how and we talk about this all the time, how you talk to individual people that you think are informed, and they'll say something like, well, she's in there now. Oh, don't you know you got to vote for her again? And you look at these people and say, I thought, in your mind, you say, I thought you were keeping up, but people will surprise you.
But James, what you're saying is so true, because people were calling me. They said, well, why am I voting for a Democrat against a Democrat? I said, it's the primaries. It's the primaries. People were really shocked. It's just as though they never voted in a primary before. And I guess because we really haven't had a lot of primaries in this area, because usually it's done at that, when you go to the schoolhouse and you have ballots that are drawn and what have you. So many people were not understanding about the primaries. Now, another thing that messed a lot of people up was that this redistricting, a lot of people did not look at where they had been redistricted to. Because
Even
a
the
lot
day
of
of the
people calling
election.
me from, a lot of people calling me from Churchland saying, hey, I went to vote for Louise, but it was a Republican primary. What is this? I went to vote for Louise, but it was a Republican primary. What's going on? You know,
Mhm.
so a lot of people didn't know where they were to vote. So if you
Yep.
don't know this day where you are to vote and who your candidates are, it's important that you find out now.
Yeah,
Now's
but
the time to find. Don't wait till November.
that was
Yeah.
part of
Find out now.
strategy. That was part of a strategy too, because at
It
one
was
time
a strategy.
it was clear where your Democratic primaries were and where and when your Republican primaries were. And only
Yes.
Republicans could vote in Republican primaries and only
Exactly.
Democrats could vote in Democrat primaries. Now they
Mhm.
opened it up so they can come in there and or we can go in there, which we don't see most of the time. We don't see the need to go in there and disrupt things, you know, because we have enough to concentrate on our side trying to get them in. But they are taking advantage of that opportunity to come into
Oh,
our
yes.
primaries now, because you used to have to declare if you were a Democrat,
Democrat or Republican.
and if you want a
Mhm.
Democrat, sorry, sir, you can't vote. This is a Democratic primary, and now
Mhm.
it's wide open. So it just leaves the door open for all kinds of things
Shenanigans.
that can happen, shenanigans that could happen, and that almost happened with this particular primary.
Exactly.
And it almost happened because part of it our fault, not getting out like we should and
Yeah.
vote.
Mhm.
Because Portsmouth, you know, could have gone out there and really carried this thing.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. And you
You
talk
are
about
so right.
Portsmouth, you know, there's another race in the Senate, the 13th district, where Morrissey ran
Yes. Yes.
and he
Ooh,
got swept. He got
he
smoked.
got swept.
Yeah. He shouldn't have
He
been in that position in the first place. He should have,
he got
after
he got
what
swept.
happened with him, he should have been out of politics forever. You
Yeah.
know, he saved his grace by marrying. Well, anyway, that's a
Marrying a
whole
young
other-
lady.
yeah.
But also, let's talk about Nadarius. Now that's a foot soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nadarius is a foot soldier. Nadarius Clark is a community organizer. This guy left from Portsmouth, went into Suffolk. He knocked on those doors in Suffolk. He worked those communities in Suffolk, and Nadarius overwhelmingly beat his competitive in this primary.
And don't
Yes.
forget the
Was it
reason.
4,000 votes to her, like 800 and some
Yeah,
votes?
it was no contest.
No contest.
And
He
don't forget about the reason he did that. Not-
did it because he
Not
was
to run
not
against. They
he was-
did their district in a way where he would have had to run against Don Scott.
Don Scott.
So he said, "Well, you know, I'm not going to do that."
Yes.
I think it should have been some kind of meeting of the minds in the Louis and Spruill race to do something like that, because you know, well, anyway, but that didn't happen. You know,
No.
Well,
but
Spruill
he
was never going to do that. He
yeah,
just went away. He just went away and hid.
And
Yeah.
you know, and maybe if he had gone to the new district, maybe he could have done something.
Yeah.
But in essence, before people were saying, well, Louise should have been the one to move, but the 18th district has been her district.
Yeah.
For ad infinitum, you know, it has been her district. So it would have been incumbent upon him to maybe move to the new district and try his hands at the new district, as opposed to going,
or back out and give his support to her, and then down, you know, those kind of things create favors. You know, he could have
yes, it
held some kind of
does.
position in another thing, or run at another time. He still has a little time,
Well-
more than she might have, but you know,
Well, the thing is that it would have caused, he would have had to do some work. And he's already had his head filled up and he had encephalitis because he had a big head, that those Republicans says, you can beat Lucas. And we're going to give you this money to go
And-
ahead and do it.
these were guys from out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it says? Somebody from New Jersey was his campaign manager.
From New Jersey, or advisors or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And why wouldn't you depend on your local people? There's a lot of smart people around here, been in politics for a long time. And if you had gone to them, they probably did. I'm sure some people went, hey, look, man, you need to back out of this thing because it's critical. You know, if you beat her, they're gonna come at you and try to beat you.
Exactly.
That's why they wanted her out the way, because they know she's gonna be hard to beat in November.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that we've already got two people against an independent and a Republican. So all those that's not going to vote for her are going to vote for one of those two people.
Mhm.
And so, you know, they got their hands full now. I
And
know they're
and
sitting
and
back.
and I bet you, and I tell you one thing, James, they would probably make a deal between that independent and that Republican
Yeah,
in order to have one person to run against her as opposed to two.
I wouldn't be
yeah, they're
surprised.
I
they're
got to
gonna
give it to
split
them.
their vote.
They're smart with politics. They are smart as to how they run their politics.
It's like they say they play chess and we play checkers.
Exactly. Exactly.
We move
Exactly.
in one move at a time, and they're just jumping over.
Uh-huh.
If
That's
anybody
right.
knows how chess goes and how checkers go, you
Yeah.
know, it's a whole different game. And it's
Whole
not like
different
we
game.
don't have the knowledge to do that. We are not. What'd you say? The bandwidth, Colonel? It's not that we
Yeah,
don't
they
have
don't have the
bandwidth.
bandwidth.
to do that. We just sometimes in some cases we don't have the courage, you know,
Exactly.
to do that and to come at you and say this is what we're gonna do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
as
But you know,
Vontae
that's the
Jordan
problem with
said,
city
this is how
council
we
in
do it.
Portsmouth. You got so many people running, and especially you got so many people that shouldn't run that burn up a lot of votes. That's why you keep getting, they keep allowing people that shouldn't be on city council or nowhere near city council keep staying, you know, keep getting reelected.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, I don't think we'll get back to those days when we sort of sat down and sort of strategized to the point
Embedded
where
people for the office.
and embedded people for the office and the people that were considering running listened to the seasoned people that were in politics if they told them this is not your time and didn't take offense and say, oh, you're just coming after me because I'm young. No, we coming after you because you're not ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The reason in
Yeah.
most cases, I'm not saying some people held something against young people and didn't think they were ready because I've seen some young people that were really ready, you know, but a lot of them weren't ready. But you know, you need to just take if you talk to a few people and they telling you the same thing, why you want to be hard-headed and think you know better?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mhm.
And then you
Exactly.
make it hard for somebody to get in that should be there because you're taking what 300 how many less than 100 votes away from them like this last.
Less than
Yeah.
100 votes.
Everybody on your block you took with you, because that's the only way you anybody you took some folks from your neighborhood because you're popular there, and never did anything.
And there's plenty other ways you can be effective as far as being a part of being a change agent.
Yeah.
You know, you don't always have to be in public office. Some people like that limelight, but not everybody's prepared and not everybody's fit for that position. But it's a lot of things you can do to prepare yourself better for that, or just to stay in that lane and be just as effective.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, and get just as much attention if that's what you're seeking.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I know some people that have run for office but never been in office, but they know how to get that attention.
Yes.
And we all know who. It's a few people like that. They know how to get that attention, and it feeds them that way. But
Yeah.
but
It feeds
some of
their
the things
ego.
they do are effective. You know, in some
Yeah.
cases in the community. You know, so
Yeah.
they get invited
Well-
to the table.
Often.
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 The news goes to them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Every time there's a car accident, a shooting or whatever, they're in front of the camera,
Yeah,
but
I just
never
happened
with
to
any
drive by.
solutions to nothing.
Indeed.
Never got a solution. Never.
So I mean, even you know, you can do something like what we're doing here, trying to make sure people are informed and just sharing the information. And we're just going to keep coming at you and coming at you, like we say the Republicans do. They keep, but the difference is we're going to come at you with the truth and facts, and not you know a lie that will spread quicker than anything else because you know that's effective. But the truth, just keep watching it, or you join in this too and spread the truth and
Yes.
keep your people informed. However you
And you
can
know-
get the message out, because I think are people sleeping under a rock? You know, when they go in their house, instead of getting in a bed, they get under a rock and just tune everything out that's going on around them. I mean, you probably could go to IC Norcom or Churchland or Manor and get more from the students.
Mhm.
But
that
you
are
know,
paying
and
attention.
the fact is, and the amazing thing is, with all this going on with politics in the world, I'm still amazed at the number of people I talk to who tell me that they don't watch the news. They don't listen to the news. You know, the news is so one. Well, if it's one-sided, then look at this newscaster this time, then go to another and go to another and go to another. And then you need to do your research and you need to discern what the true facts are.
Yeah.
You know,
There's too
it's
many
up to you to
choices.
discern what the facts are, you know, but you can't go through this world today not looking at the news, not listening to the news, because major decisions are being made about your life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
your livelihood. And because you're not paying attention, you're going to suffer the consequences of it.
Yes.
There's too many choices at one time at 6 and 11.
Yeah.
You can
You would,
avoid the news.
so James, so
You
they should
turn on the
listen.
TV.
They should look at 6 and 11, and then they need to come back on Monday mornings at 7, 6:30, and Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock, and we'll break it down for them what's taking place
Yes.
out there
About
in the
that, how
world.
about, and everything's streaming. You can watch it anytime.
Anytime,
So
anytime,
Anytime.
anytime.
it's not like if you missed an episode of Dallas this week, you got to wait till next week to see it. You can,
Exactly.
you know, I mentioned that because that was a popular series where everybody ran home. Let me see who shot JR.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
But you had to wait a whole week, and during that case, you had to wait the whole summer. to see
Yeah.
who shot JR.
And-
But now
and
you
look,
can,
and
you can
then
pull it
when
up
the
anytime you want.
but look, and then when the episode closed, you had to wait till the next season to see what happened. So
The whole
Mhm.
summer and the conversation over the summer. I think it was, you know, so and so. I think, but anyway, but you don't have to do that anymore. But you can, and you don't have to watch, sit down and watch an hour or 2 hours or binge on CNN or whatever news station. You know, just catch a little bit at a time. You know, I don't understand. But anyway, watch us, and we'll share as much as we can about what's going on, along with our opinions. And opinions count too, because there's people out there that think just like us.
mhm.
Mhm. So in November, how many seats are going to be there for city council this year?
Not in this year. I think it's
Or is it next year?
2024, next year. Yeah.
Next year.
But people need to be aware too. I think this is on. This is on the national level. All the House seats are up, or is it on the
me
state
see.
level?
Yeah, all the House seats and the
I think
Senate.
all the House seats, you know.
All the House seats
the
are up
national
every 2
level?
years
Yeah.
on the national level.
Mhm.
And then 1/3 of the Senate is up for election, re-election.
Yeah.
So I think that's how it is here in the state. If I'm not all the
Mhm.
delegate seats, because they usually, no, it might be kind of.
No, because
Open up.
Nadarius is running in November. Don is running in November of this year. Am I not correct?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the House and the Senate, everything is up for bid, up for
In
re-election
the state of Virginia. Okay.
in the state of Virginia. That's why Juncker was on TV saying they want to take back one to take back the Senate. Because they already have the House. They think they can hold on to the House.
So they need
Because
one
of
to take, they need one to
redistricting.
take back the Senate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
And
the Senate is the only thing stopping them for doing a lot of bad things for people.
that's why they were targeting Louise. If they get that one and take back the Senate and then take out a powerful woman
Yeah,
like that, you know, that's like a coup for them.
That's
it'll
for
be
sure.
like a coup.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all we're saying is people be ready. Be
Yes.
ready. November is coming,
People
and
get
we
ready.
need you out there walking the pavement, talking the talk, sharing information with your family members, making sure that those family members who are not registered to vote, get them registered to vote. November is going to be a crucial time for Virginians. So make sure you get out there and you register and vote
Yes.
and give of your time to the candidate. Candidates need your time as well in order to get the word out. But one thing I'm thinking too, I don't think negativity is going to work that well anymore, because a lot of people I talked to, they were upset about the negative ads that Lionel had on,
Yeah.
and They had planned to vote for him, but that kind of turned them off. The negativity turned them off.
Well, he ran as a Republican. That's
He
what it
did. He
is.
did.
And they run on the negative side.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that's his, he had a Republican campaign manager. They propped him up with the money, and he just went around with the, you know, they tooted him out there and says, you stand in front out here and don't say a word, and we'll handle it from
He'll
here.
take it the rest of the way.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Yeah,
I've always said,
everything he does. Go ahead, Leah.
I've always said, follow the money trail. Whoever's running, look and see who's giving them the donations, and that'll
Yeah.
tell you the true story. No matter
Mhm.
what they say out of their mouths, when you see who's putting the money behind them, you
Yeah.
will know exactly what their goals are and what their true plans are, not what they've spoken to you, but their true plans.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
James, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was reading. Vincent Epp made a comment here. I was just trying to see what he was saying.
Well, you
Go
know,
ahead.
and the other thing, statewide, more centrist won for the Republican side. And so they defeated a lot of the Trump-backed folks,
Yeah.
went down in flames. And like I live out here in Suffolk, you know, I had a canvasser come out here from Delegate Emily Brewer, came knocking on the door. And I said, you know, I told her I had already voted, and she says, is white girl, she says, can I ask you who you voted for? And I told her straight up, I says, you know what? I know you got this, you know, you had the all the literature for Emily Brewer, the Republican. I told her, I says, I will never, ever, ever vote for Republicans because they don't care about America.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have saw her jaw just drop.
Well,
Yeah. And then she started backing up and running to the door, to the car.
Mhm.
Couldn't handle the truth.
But look, that was like the little guy.
They handle the truth.
That's like the little guy walking through my community, and he had Lionel Sproul's literature. And I stopped the car and I backed the car up. I said, "What are you doing, young man?" He says, I don't want to bother you, but I'm campaigning for Lionel Sproul." I said, "Well, honey, you're in the wrong neighborhood."
Mhm.
When I looked up, he went on down the street. He didn't stop by no one person's house on my street. He didn't stop
Yeah.
at one person's house. He kept going, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're gonna campaign for somebody and be out there and beat the streets, you better believe in that person or have a comeback or have a reason for why you out there or why you vote.
Exactly.
You can't be out there. Well, you know, a lot of people do it for the money, but if you're gonna be out there door to door, you better be prepared
To
you know,
answer some
when you're not-
questions.
for those people that come to and open that door, they either gonna say, "Hey, I agree with you," or they're gonna ask you, or you're gonna get a response like you got from the colonel. And I want
Right.
to say Vincent Epps was saying what we mentioned earlier, that you can serve in a lot of different ways as a nurse, doctor, lawyer, teacher. You know, you can serve in those capacities, and it's a question he was asking. You know, ask those politicians when they come to you, why do they want to serve? You know,
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
many times we don't ask that question, or we ask
Exactly.
that question and we get
Yeah.
you know a runaround answer, or I think I can do the best, or they start bashing the other person.
Exactly.
rather than
And when they
giving
get to
their
bashing, their opponent, that means they don't have a plan. They don't have a
Yeah.
plan of action at all.
Mhm.
None. So
Yeah, nothing. Just talk about all the negative stuff. And you ask them, what are they going to do? Or what have they done? And it goes silent.
exactly.
Silence. And that tells you everything.
I saw this. Who is the governor of California?
Yeah,
Gavin.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom. A Fox commentator was interviewing him, and you know how those Fox commentators try to get you and try to get an aha moment.
They had the wrong one with Gavin
They
then.
had the wrong one with
They had the
him.
wrong one with Gavin.
Yep.
Just hit him with fact after fact after fact, and the guy could not, he could not handle that. I mean,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
if he had to hit him with lie after lie after lie, he probably would say, "Yeah, you're right," and all that. But everything he asked him or tried to ask him, in a, like I said, I got you moment, well, what about this? And he just threw them facts right back at him. And
Yeah,
anybody that was fact checking could write them down and say, oh man,
Mhm.
that's true, that's right. Yeah, he did, and that's the way, I mean, that's the way you got to handle those guys. They come
yes,
at you like
yes.
that. You
Beat
see
him
the
to
guy
the punch.
that got Trump. Well, he was trying to say the lady he let out of prison that was selling just a little bit of weed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The lady had a big time operation,
Yeah,
and
yeah, she was a drug
glad she
lord.
got out. I'm glad she got out. But and then the guy said, "Well, under your rules, she would have been killed."
Yes.
He,
He said,
oh no,
what?
not
He
her.
said,
Not
well,
this is
she'd be
after her.
grandfathered in. She'd be grandfathered in.
And
was
that's
like,
as farthest from the truth than you ever would have thought,
mhm.
because he ain't thought it through. He's just
He didn't
making
think it through. He tried to use her
yeah,
as something to say, look, I got this black woman out and everything, and she was just selling a little bit of weed. Come on, man. You
yeah.
don't
But
get
see,
federal time for selling a little bit of
he's had
weed.
such free reign at Fox News that he never thought that they would have
That
come
guy would
back
come
and
at him.
checked
Yeah.
him
Hmm.
Then
in
the
his
guy
statements
laughed
that
at
he's
him.
been making. Uh-huh.
Well, you know what? That's the thing he did last time, and that got him press. Say something outlandish, and that gets you all press is good press according to
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
until you check him, until people check him,
You check-
even
he
on
won't-
Fox.
He won't go on Fox again for a while.
Yeah.
And I hope
You
he
have
keeps
to check
talking
him.
because everything he says is going to be a part of that trial.
Exactly. Let
Yeah.
him
He
keep
pretty
talking.
much admitted, he took the files, and I don't know. I guess that's why the lawyers are backing out because nobody can control them. The lawyers are saying,
And
look,
how do you defend someone
don't
like
say
that?
nothing,
Yeah.
just shut up. And he goes
And you
out
may,
there.
may not get paid.
Yeah, well, and he already said he's not going to pay him until they get the charges dropped.
But
But
one
yeah,
lawyer who
he's not
backed
going to
out
pay him anyway. He doesn't pay anybody.
one lawyer who backed out made him pay him $1 million up front.
Yeah, you got to get your money up front.
Get your money up
When
front.
he says that, that means he ain't gonna pay you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
It's a
I
shame.
think his goose is cooked. I don't care. How many people they got backing them and stuff like that because the prosecution they're ready.
Yeah.
Let's go to Congress. Let's go to Congress. Margaret, MGT,
Fighting
Oh,
and,
each
yeah.
other.
and Ms. Bovar fighting on the floors of Congress and calling each other the B name,
Yeah.
and just going at each other, huh?
They can't handle the intelligent ones in there, so they fight each other. Two crazies fighting each other.
That is the epitome. I hate to use this vernacular here, but they are the epitome, especially down in Georgia, the epitome of trailer trash.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you,
I'm telling you how it is.
they went at each other on the
Yes.
floor of Congress.
Neither one of them has done anything for their constituents.
Nothing. But they get away
Nothing.
with it. They get away with it because of how they've drawn these lines.
Yeah.
This monopoly that they've drawn in which these individuals, they are protected.
Yes.
They are protected unless new individuals move into the community, they're going to forever be there.
Yeah.
Unless the people wake up and get rid of them because they're
Yeah.
not bringing anything to the constituents.
Yeah.
Indeed.
It is a shame, but yeah, they got to go. They got to go. But I'm glad you brought them up because actually Boebert only won her last election like 438 votes.
Exactly.
And then so the same guy that beat her is running again. And I'm glad because he's already doing his fundraising and started coming on and start talking about her already and about her non-record.
And all you have to do is play back the videotapes.
Yeah.
Play the videotapes back and let people
Yeah.
see who they truly are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see how desperate they are because they don't, Santos, anybody else, they censored a Democrat, but they're keeping Santos in there, admitted liar and
Isn't that amazing?
been arrested. And they're keeping him because they don't want to lose that vote.
They need that vote.
Yeah.
They need that vote. And he's out there talking trash
Mm-hmm.
to reporters. I'm not turning over this. I'm not doing that, and they censor this is Adam Schiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Censored him for comments he made. They
For
quit
telling the truth.
For telling the truth.
And they had Durham on the Senate hearing, and he just ate him alive.
Ate him up and spit him out for mincemeat.
Yes.
And
And it showed that whole thing. And I wish they'd asked the question. So
$6
you can do
million,
it-
$6
Yeah.
million thrown down the drain
Yes.
to get
And you
2
ain't did a
charges
thing.
that
So
if
the
his
only
name,
thing you did is collect a check for 4 years.
but charges that if his name was not Bo Biden, he would not even be facing charges.
Yep, exactly.
I challenge people to watch C-SPAN a few hours every day.
You got to, you have to.
And because you're getting these little sound bites on certain shows, but if you watch it, a little bit every day, you're going to see some stuff that that some people that they are not interviewing, that they are questioning, and some people in Congress are laughing at. They ask a question, and the person sitting there laughs at the question they're asking. On national TV because they can't help it. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you just watch that a little bit, you can see how it's going. What those people are doing in Congress. The ones that shouldn't be there, and especially to see the ones that should be there, just eat them up for lunch. Like y'all said earlier. But anyway, nobody was going to watch C-SPAN.
But you know what? It's good though to
That
go
should be watching.
between each of them. Sometimes I look a little bit of Fox, I look a little bit of MSNBC, CNN, C-SPAN, because you're gonna look at them and you're gonna get different perspectives of what's going on.
Mhm.
And once again, for you to discern what is the correct thing,
Yes.
you have to discern what's correct.
Yeah, just like a colonel's been in the military a long time, you always have to know what the enemy is doing.
Exactly. Exactly. See what they're up to.
See what they're up to.
You'll never defeat them.
Big
Okay.
time, big time.
Getting close to 7:47. We said we're gonna back out a little earlier so we can. Well, we said we're gonna back out a little earlier.
Yes.
I don't know if we
We
want to
got
say.
some things. We have some things we have to do.
We have some very
There's
important.
some very important things we need to do.
some
The
things
prior
we need to be
engagements that
doing
we have to go take care
around
of.
8:00. you know.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
But anyway, we appreciate everybody for watching and listening to our commentary here, and we'll continue to try to get guests. We have them lined up. It's been a little difficult the last few weeks getting people to commit and stay committed, but you always got us. We're gonna always be here for you. So
Yes.
appreciate you tuning in, and the people that tune in, especially John Gans out there in Texas, holding it down. We pray for you every day, John.
I know it's hot in Texas. It's
In
hot
more
in
ways,
Texas.
in more ways than
In
one.
more ways than one, hot in Texas.
Yeah.
And let's see. Sherry Parker, classmate, 1972, I see Northam. Wanda Jones, and we mentioned Vincent Epps and all the others that are watching.
And Sherry Parker made a good statement.
Green
Sherry
light.
says, we're focusing on Portsmouth, but what about us in Chesapeake and Suffolk? So I need to go back and look to see who I know that Darius Clark is running for the House 84th District in Suffolk. I need to see who's running in Chesapeake. Just 1 minute, let me see.
Yeah, we will come back with that.
We'll come back and discuss some of the other candidates
because
who are running, like Gaines in Norfolk and
a lot of people
Graves in
live in the
Norfolk.
other cities. Yeah, Graves and congratulations to her who won the primary to be a senator. She went from city council
From the
to
House.
delegate, and now she's a senator. I guess she'll run in November, but she had a pretty decisive victory as well. So so we'll talk about some of the other cities, even though we're Portsmouth Coffee Talk, but a lot of our viewers are from other cities, and it's important that we all, we inform all our cities of what's going on, because when it all comes together, it concerns the whole state. Because once they get up there, they really represent the whole state. A lot of the laws that they pass affect the whole state with their concentration on whatever district they come from. But we're going to cover that too, especially in Suffolk. We're going to let Colonel, he lives in Suffolk, so we'll let him enlighten us on some of the things. And Leah is, so we're represented here. Leah is in Chesapeake, and I'm in Portsmouth, so we can Go ahead,
Yeah.
Colonel.
So, but you know what? And I've just pulled up some data here.
Okay.
And so the turnout in Suffolk was 8%,
Oh, Jesus.
8%. Chesapeake was 11.
And Chesapeake.
Virginia Beach was
growing.
6.
So regionally, we're not
Yeah,
doing too
and
well, at least in the
and
primary.
Norfolk was only 10.
And Portsmouth again was how many?
It's like 8.
8%?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's sad.
he based it
You
on
know-
like 60,000 registered voters and came up with like 8%, maybe 7 or 8%.
You know, and what is the sad thing is I was talking to some of my friends in Australia, and they were saying that if you do not vote in Australia, you are penalized. The first time is a penalty. The second time is a harsher penalty. So they penalize you in Australia if you do not vote. And here
Well,
you have
better
the
vote for
opportunity to
somebody.
vote. Huh?
You better vote for somebody.
Gotta vote
Yeah.
for somebody gonna show up. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, folks don't take
They'll be
voting
knocking on
seriously.
your door.
But you think that we had bad turnout? You look at it, if you go out west, Montgomery County, they had 4% turnout.
Wow.
Roanoke County, 3%. Roanoke City, the Roanoke City itself, 6%. Some in Amherst County, 4%. That
So
is
actually, we're
ridiculous.
doing pretty good down down
Yeah.
here in the Hampton Roads area compared to those.
Spotsylvania, going
Okay.
up 95, 5%.
Just
Mm.
like Leah said,
Stafford,
you know, up in Northern
6%.
Virginia, they got everything. So they don't see the need for voting. But we don't have everything, and there's a need for us to.
But I tell you what Northern Virginia is gonna do. Come November, they're gonna be out there making sure that you get folks in there who's gonna make the change in Northern Virginia.
Yeah,
They're gonna make sure that takes place.
yeah,
Yeah, because that's actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's how Yonkers got in. We
Oh,
woke those
yeah.
people up,
yeah.
woke those people
That's
up
right.
in those
That's
counties
right.
up there, and that's where his strong points were. That's
Mhm.
what put him in there. But anyway,
Well, guys, we have something to do.
Yes.
very important issue.
Yes.
Very important.
Maybe we enlighten you on that another
Yes.
time. But anyway, thanks for coming to us, and Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Our community.
In our future.
Always. All right, and God bless you. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks
And
to each of you
everybody.
for
All right.
watching.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.